for Investment Insights. Appreciate you guys tuning in this morning. A couple fun facts. Obviously, it's been an eventful day with inflation. Just a couple little fun facts here. I don't know if you guys knew this, but from 1980 to 2019, the S&P 500 has only had about 3 months with an average negative return. You guys even know what those 3 months tend to be? Want to guess? It's only 12 months, so there can't be that much. So usually the worst month of the year is September. Over the last 40 years, it's the only month with a negative return of about 1% of 0.7. The second worst month is August, which is negative 0.15, and then June is just slightly positive with a return of 0.02%. The best months on average have been April and November. April and November tend to be about 1.5% average per month is what they tend to make. So if you're looking at baseball statistics, which I love baseball, September is a very good month to put in money for investments. Typically, it's historically. On Sunday or last Sunday, 2 days ago, Albert Pujols hit his 697th home run. Moved into fourth place all time, only right behind Babe Ruth. Only Babe Ruth, Hank Aaron, and Barry Bonds have hit 700 home runs. And you know, me being a Cardinals fan, only one of those that didn't cheat was Hank Aaron. Because you guys remember they moved the right field in for Babe Ruth when he was hitting home runs. They moved it in, I think, 30 or 40 feet so he could hit more home runs. And of course, Barry Bonds' head got bigger every day when he played baseball, but not from natural causes. Another good fact is Ukraine, you guys have been watching, their offensive to retake territory has really made a lot of progress in the last 2 or 3 weeks. We don't really know for sure, but the U.S. government has said that Ukraine has retaken 1,158 square miles of territory since the beginning of September, and the Russians are in full retreat. They've actually taken it all the way to the border of Russia by one of the major cities in Ukraine called Kharkiv, if I'm saying it wrong. But they still, at the height, Russia still occupied 47,000 square miles of Ukrainian territory when the war started. So you take back 1,100, and today they think about, the Ukrainians are saying 2,200. You're still looking at taking back 4 or 5% of the country. So you know, it's something, but it's not maybe as big a deal as the media is pushing it out to be on that end. And obviously, you know, if you look at what we're seeing with energy prices and inflation, and we're talking about today, what's going on in Ukraine affects us. If you guys ever thought that the world wasn't connected, or you could hide under a rock or something, just look at what's going on right now in front of us. I mean, you're seeing it everywhere. These are some good quotes from Ben Franklin. Love your enemies, for they tell you you're false. You know, a lot of people that like you, they don't want to tell you what you do wrong. He that falls in love with himself will have no rivals. When you're good to others, you're best to yourself. That's my favorite one from Ben Franklin. You know, I watch a lot of history because you think about the turbulent times we go through today, and you compare the turbulent times of history, and really what we're going through today is nothing compared to what even when our country was founded, what our country went through. You know, I mean, to me, obviously I believe in Jesus, because how could you believe all those things could happen in a row and we win? It's just hard to believe if you look at history. It's my opinion on that end. But obviously, investment insights in the educational space. Please seek out legal, tax, and investment advice to your unique situation before you make any decisions. So today, I want to talk about the Federal Reserve, currencies, and your money. Maybe a little marked up if you get a chance. Obviously, today we had the CPI report, which I didn't get a chance to prepare on that this morning beforehand because it came out at 7:30 this morning. This report showed that inflation, if I'm not mistaken, went up 8.3% from a year earlier. And so what it showed in the report is that inflation is not slowing down enough. It's slowed down. It's not rising, but basically it's not calming down. The key in the report, some of the key stuff in the report was rent and housing, but mainly rent. And so what's happened is, you know, I love how people think sometimes, right? They don't really think logically. If you raise interest rates, and a lot of these rental properties people live in, do people owe them free and clear? They have a what? Mortgage. So when their mortgage goes up, the rent goes up. And so what was really surprising for the market today, the reason why the market's having such a drop today, is the market has really been expecting this report to come out and this number to be in the 7s and not in the 8s. That was really the expectation today. And it didn't happen. And mainly a lot of it came in because of rent. What we're seeing is now that all these big investment firms have bought all these apartments, these places in Nashville, they're not, when their costs go up, they're passing those costs on consumers. That's why whenever you raise taxes on businesses, it's so inefficient because they're just going to raise the price of everything you buy. That's really why it's not a smart policy. And so when we look at the report today, which I'm going off the cuff today, that was a highlight. And we're also seeing, even though gasoline's going down, airfares are actually down 11% from where they were back in June. We are still seeing a lot of the essential goods, Clorox wipes, toilet paper, those kinds of stuff, they're still going up. And a lot of people had hoped, and me as well, that a lot of our inflation issues is related to supply, which we're going to talk about that here in a second, is we just can't get enough stuff. There's just not enough people working in the world. And you can argue what the reasons for that are, but if you look at the bottom line is, one of the biggest problems the whole country has, the whole world has, is there's just not enough workers. And that's primarily a cause for economic policies to this big thing called, we know the Queen of England just passed away this weekend, right? And so if you think about dating history, she really started coming of age during World War II. That puts in perspective how long she lived, how long she was also a queen. And when you look at, after World War II, all these people started having kids. And all these countries affected by World War II. Russia, China, the United States, all Western Europe, Eastern Europe. Okay? But now, those baby boomers that had kids, they didn't have enough kids to replace them. And so now the only way to increase the amount of labor is to get it from countries that are still, their population is still growing. South America and Africa, and parts of Asia that weren't affected in World War II. And so that's what we're seeing here today, and that has a huge issue in supply. We'll talk a little bit about how that's affecting us investment-wise as well. But, the Federal Reserve has caused almost all the volatility this year. Government always tends to be behind the curve. If you expect, I know it's funny today, the president is having a speech this afternoon. You know what the speech is about? The Inflation Reduction Act. I mean, you can't beat the timing, right? You get the inflation report this morning showing inflation is still going hot, and the President of the United States is going to give a speech this afternoon about his act to reduce inflation. And by the way to reduce inflation is to spend more money. Okay? Now, I'm not picking on him, but it's not a smart decision. And the last president spent a lot of money too. And the one before that spent a lot of money. And the one before that spent a lot of money. Okay? And so we're going on 4 idiot presidents spending too much money. It's my personal viewpoint. But the thing is why would you give, it's just funny how they have a planned speech about Inflation Reduction Act. And here's the thing too, if I'm the press secretary of the President of the United States, and I'm not going to watch when that inflation number comes out, because this has been announced. We knew this inflation number was going to come out a year ago. So do you do a speech on inflation the day the number comes out? Man, if you're a big casino person, right? That number comes in good, I'm going to look really good. The number comes in bad. And the one thing about politics, you always avoid big mistakes, right? That's the speech. Here's to see what he says. What is he going to say? I bet he's going to get mad. I bet during the speech, if you watch the speech, people are going to ask him hard questions, and he's going to get angry. And it's not going to look good. I would just cancel the speech. I would say I have COVID. That's what I'm going to do. I'm just telling you right now. I would just say I have COVID. I tested positive, and we're going to be out for a while. That's how I would handle it. That's me. Okay, so roughly about 4 weeks ago, the Federal Reserve had Chairman Jerome Powell gave a speech. You guys remember? The stock market's kind of at the low of the year in June this year so far. And then the market was kind of coming back up in July, early August. Well, Jerome Powell basically made this statement in Jacksonville, Wyoming. Lowering inflation to the 2% target is the Federal Reserve Bank's overarching focus right now. This is the key word. Even though consumers and businesses will feel economic pain, an unusually large increase is necessary. Now, why that matters so much is, and why the market's in price is, it's very, very rare. But what is the Federal Reserve's job? You guys know what their job is? What is their job? Why do they come around? Why do they exist? Who deemed them control the world? Right?
They control money supply.
Yeah. Their job, at the core of their mission, is to bring economic stability to the country. To keep things calm. Right? You guys ever seen, there's a movie I've not watched in a long time, Animal House, with John Belushi? And there, you guys know there's this actor named Kevin Bacon, and everything's going purely to crap, pardon my language. And he's sitting there saying, remain calm. And he keeps saying it, and finally, that's basically the Federal Reserve's job. So after the Great Depression, the federal government said, we need somebody to make things stay calm. Yeah, there was a great Federal Reserve chairman named Alan Greenspan. And one of the things about Alan Greenspan was he was a very smart guy. He was very smart economically, but he's even better at PR. So what he would do is when he'd give a speech, you wouldn't understand what he said. Right? Because he knew, instead of focusing on what's going on in the market, they say, what did he just create today? He would change misdirection. If you ever look at, like when the president speaks today, he's not going to want to talk about inflation, right? Because the numbers aren't looking good. So he's going to focus on probably Roe versus Wade. Because that's a higher selling point than the inflation numbers. That's what the speech is going to do. Because politicians are supposed to do direction. Well, the thing that Jerome Powell has constantly struggled with since he's been Federal Reserve Chairman in the last 5 years is he's not very good at PR. He's actually pretty bad at PR. That's my opinion. And so, what Jerome Powell is, what the market wants to know is what you guys want to know, which is they want to know with certainty what they're going to do. You guys know that we rebalance accounts. So typically when stocks go down, bonds go up, bonds go down, stocks go up, we're going to sell, move out. You guys know what we're going to do. This year's a little different because both stocks and bonds, for the first time since 72, are both down 20% this year. First time in 50 years. It's a little harder market. And so that's what the market wants to see. The market wants to see, tell us the rules. Because you guys remember what they said in January, is in January, interest rates were about 0.08 to 0.1. And they've already raised them to 2.5%. And now, they're probably going to raise it another 1.5% the next 2 months, or November and September. They're going to go from 0.08 to 4% from January this year until November. And then, as they're pricing it today, they're probably going to raise another 0.5%. So now they're saying, when the year's over, they're going to raise rates from 0 to 4.5% in 12 months. Now, why that creates uncertainty, of course, is that would be the largest interest rate increase. They've already raised interest rates more after next week's meeting than they have in the last 14 years. They would raise more interest rates more in the last 9 months than they did the previous 14 years combined. And so, this caused an incredible amount of uncertainty. Because remember, last year they said they're going to raise rates to 0.75% this year. And now they're at 4.5%. And so, if you look at from investments, that is the number one thing affecting markets right now. If you want to pull it down, it's what are they going to do? What are they going to do? Because they keep changing their mind. They're right. They keep changing the rules. You know, because and it's all basically these two things, right? There's a couple options here. If you want to deal with inflation, there's three ways you can deal with inflation. The first way is, my favorite way, is increase supply. You know, the idea is, hey, diesel goes to $6 a gallon. Right now, I'm going to build a diesel refinery because oil is $80 a barrel, and if I can make a lot of money selling diesel. You know, it's probably a 70% profit margin making diesel. Okay, so normally in a normal market, normal economy, oil companies would rush to produce more diesel. Why are they not doing that? Well, government regulation, right? First off, to build a new refinery, you got to go through the EPA. The EPA says no more refineries. Second reason is California is mandating electric cars. So are you going to invest all your money into something that 3 years from now might go worth nothing? No. You're going to make as much money as you can now, and you're not going to invest a single dollar in the future. That's because of regulation. So one of the ways you can we can decrease inflation is you increase the supply. If toilet paper is getting more expensive, you build more factories making toilet paper, right? That's the idea is basically just like every business you see out here. You guys ever heard of Nokia phones or Motorola? You don't have a Motorola, right? Oh, bankrupt. And then Google bought them. That's where you get the Android, right? Well, Steve Jobs, who came up with that iPhone right there, he figured out I could build a better phone than them. I'm going to put them out of business. So he did. And somebody else bought it. You know, so I think actually Google bought it. Google did it. And so the second way you can do it is you destroy demand. You want to bring gas prices down? You cause 10 million people to lose their jobs. When they don't drive to work, voila, gas prices go down. Okay? And that's kind of the course the Federal Reserve may be going down. That's the big question. The third option is this is where you can equalize both of them, or a soft landing. You both increase supply and you decrease demand, and you kind of just hit there right on the mark. And that's really what the Federal Reserve until August, Jackson, Wyoming, until he did his meeting. That's what everybody thought the Federal Reserve was trying to do. But when he said that word, you will feel economic pain, then everybody started thinking this. But the real issue here is it's really about uncertainty. When people are scared, what do they usually do? Huh?
Don't spend.
Yeah, if don't spend, they do nothing. Right? You know, if your accounts go down, do you plan an extra cruise overseas? Do you do that? You know, it's a terrible situation. But most of the time, if you look at people that are like serial killers or something, most of the people don't fight back. They just freeze. Right? You know, and really what you should do is some kind of proactive steps in that situation. Just like if you're getting mugged or something, you give what you want, but you also got to run. They tell you, throw your keys away, throw your purse the other way, then run the other way. You know, that's most people just here you go. If you watch videos, I mean, it's really kind of crazy. And so that's what we're seeing with the market is we're seeing the uncertainty causing people to just freeze or to panic and sell out. And so in April this year, I really thought the market really felt that the energy market was stabilizing. Everybody thought Ukraine would fall over, they wouldn't exist anymore, and then Russia would still be selling their natural gas to Europe. Everybody thought that. I mean, remember the Germans? What did the Germans send Ukraine? Do you guys remember what they sent them? The first thing they sent them for aid? Yeah, 4,000 helmets. They didn't send them any guns, they sent them helmets, right? And everybody thought Ukraine would just fall over. Well, now, part of with Ukraine taking the proper territory back, it's also a good thing, but it's also uncertainty because now we don't know what Putin's going to do next. Is he going to use nuclear weapons? Is he going to recall the reserves? Are they going to go in further? Are they going to send in more mercenaries? What's going to happen next? You know, we don't really know. And that causes more uncertainty. And we also really felt like China would reopen. I mean, everybody's kind of felt like this COVID thing, at a certain point, we've got to move forward. You know, at some point, we've got to move. We've got to move forward on COVID. And even as of yesterday, China is still locking down cities. Now, you're seeing this with supply. And why this matters so much, of course. We'll start ice skating through here. Is our country and the world has become, as you can see, completely reliant upon China making everything. I mean, there's no doubt about it, right? I mean, you're seeing this with COVID. China's closed down. You can't get stuff. Russia, BMW or Mercedes, or not BMW, Mercedes. Mercedes and BMW make all their wiring harnesses for their cars in Ukraine. One country that made all their wiring harnesses. So when Russia invaded Ukraine, they couldn't get wiring harnesses. They couldn't finish their trucks. So they had to take that factory, disassemble it, move it to Poland, and redo it. Now here's what's smart about that, right? What if he invades Poland next? Because it's right next to the border, right? You know, if I'm a business person, I'm going to move that back to Germany, right? Because I'm going to get close to those factories. What if that nuclear reactor goes off and the contamination goes over, and it's in eastern Poland, because I'm sure it is, you still won't have wiring harnesses, right? And so what we're seeing here is, we're seeing a massive change in the United States. As, China is shut down, people can't get stuff. Well, what do businesses start doing? If you're a business, you're running a company, and you can't get the Chinese to work because of COVID, what do? You go somewhere else. And we're seeing it this year. So this year, U.S. companies have brought home 350,000 jobs. You want to know why there's a worker shortage? We'll explain why. This is the highest reported since 2010. The thing about it is, Trump's tariffs are not as effective as Chinese stupidity. You want to focus on tariffs and stuff? No, it's better just with the person being an idiot. It'll eventually work itself out. That's why I hate government getting involved in stuff, because the free market will fix it. All you gotta do is get some idiots do something stupid to where it get fixed. That's just my opinion. So, last year, U.S. companies brought back 265,337 jobs. In 2020, they brought back 181,000 jobs. Now, in 2019, when the tariffs were into effect, they only brought back 100,000 jobs. And so, the problem, of course, is where do U.S. companies find these workers? I mean, everywhere you go, what do you see? Help wanted ads. Where do you find people that will work? And that is not just true here in America, that's true. And it really goes back to what I talked about earlier. It goes back to that demographic issue, right? All these babies were born, the baby boomers. They're all now retired. And now it's up to your kids, and there's not enough of them to fill the gap. That's the issue. And so, when you look at U.S. companies, though, did order one record also as well. They ordered 11,595 robots last year, or so far this year. Sorry. So what they are ordering is a lot of robots. If you look at Nissan or Bridgestone, what they're putting in place is they're adding workers, but they're also adding more robots. And really, why this matters so much is, while we're seeing this happen, is because they're trying to fix these supply chains. And you think about it, and we'll talk about this. I'll talk about this in a second. I'll go into that in a second. But in July and early August, the market was confident that inflation had peaked. If you look at the numbers, gasoline's going down. particle board, OSB board, was $65 a sheet in February, and it was $17 last week. Still not $10, but it's not $65. Wheat, I don't know if you guys do this, wheat has been going down all year. Even though Ukraine makes the wheat, it's been going down like a rock. Housing has been dropping as well. And all this in conjunction, the S&P companies were supposed to make less money last quarter, even though they make 10% more money if you take out bank loan loss reserves for a recession. If you guys are aware of this, the worst performing part of the stock market this year are banks. Now think about that, right? The banks, interest rates go up. Do banks get more money? I guess they, as long as everybody keeps their job, right? Because see, when interest rates go up, they make more interest. But then also, that's if people pay their home loans. But what's really unique about this is, and we're talking about this, there's tons of jobs, there's tons of opportunity. So realistically, interest rates going up should mean banks should be doing well. But banks have been setting aside almost all their profits this year in case we go into a recession. Are we in a recession right now? No. If you think there's a recession, I entertain you to sit outside this office for 10 minutes and count how many number of cars pass through on the Brake Highway. I'm a runner, right? So I run. So I can tell you business activity is going because there's traffic on the roads. Because I run the roads. You can see the number of cars and people going through. That's just a simple thing. And so, but what gives, right? So the mantra is, you don't fight the Federal Reserve. Two-year interest rates today hit 3.6%, which is basically what the CD rates are, or where they're headed. And so the two-year Treasury at 3.6% today. If the Federal Reserve wants to, they can keep raising interest rates to 10, 15%. Right? They can do whatever they need to do to get inflation. They will cause people to lose their jobs. Now, why does that happen? Why do you guys think the Federal Reserve, if rates go up, why do people lose their jobs? What are the goals of U.S. companies? What is their number one goal? Make money, right? U.S. companies are profit machines. They don't care about anything else, morally. Their main goal is what? To make money. Most companies are smart to stay out of politics because you're going to make somebody mad. You're not going to use your product. We talked about Disney numerous times. Disney, one of the CEOs got this, and he said, "We will always delight you." Is that really the job of Disney? Because that's right, they're charging me $180 a day to go to Disney World and wait in line for 4 hours for Star Wars because they're here to delight me. What a horse. You know what I mean? They're not delighting me waiting in line in Florida humidity, which I'm not there right now, I've not been all year, and for 4 hours to wait right for a Star Wars ride. That does not delight me for the 5-minute experience. Right? Their goal is to make money. And they are making a lot of money. And so that is what U.S. companies produce. So if U.S. companies notice their profits start going down, what's the first thing they do? They fire people. They lay off staff. This is why stock investments are a pretty strong investment. Because if you go and buy if you go to a Japanese company and they start making less money, what do? They fire Americans, but they fire Japanese people? Nope. So do they ever have efficiency? Nope. What do European companies do? Well, workers got rights. You can fire them, but you're going to pay their salary for 2 years. So the companies can't get efficient. So if you look at stock market returns, the reason why U.S. companies have always done better than Japanese and European companies is because their job is to make money, not to do all the other stuff. And so if you look at 2008, you guys remember the really, really bad recession in 2008. The S&P 500 went down in 2008. And most people didn't lose their jobs in 2008. They lost it what year? 2009. In total, 9 million people lost their jobs as a result of the financial crisis. 9 million people were unemployed. Did that hurt demand? We didn't have inflation, then we had deflation. Everything got cheaper. Everything got more expensive. We had deflation. This building you're in right here, the reason why I was able to buy it was it got cheaper. It didn't go up, it got cheaper. The gentleman who bought this building has an offer of $285,000 in 2009. He turned it down. I bought it in 2010 in January for $237,500. Because he had an offer, but he had deflation. And so, U.S. companies in 2007, they made, on average, $93.35 a share. In 2008, they only made $20.97. It dropped that much. But guess what happened in 2010? They're already up to $104.56. Because they fired 9 million people. So when 9 million people lost their jobs, the company started making more money. It took years. Really, we didn't see the employment market really recover until 2016. We really didn't see that happen in 2016. And so, what the stock market's waiting for, what's going to give us some direction, is the market just wants to know, hey, Federal Reserve, what's the direction? Is the economy going to hit the perfect level? It's going to stay decently strong without a lot of people losing their jobs? Are they going to thread the needle? Is inflation going to get so bad that companies have to basically get more efficiency out of their people? They don't hire more people, but they maybe pay people they have now more money to make it work? Or is the economy going to get bad? Do companies need to fire 9 million people again? The companies don't care. This is an amoral decision. They are just looking at it from the standpoint of, tell us which way to march, and we're going to march. And that's what the market's looking for. So today, unfortunately, what we got was more uncertainty. Inflation didn't go up more. It didn't go down more. It just kind of what? With that. Okay. And so, unfortunately, that's a terrible thing for investors. Because it's almost better if it went up more or went down. Because we could find the directions. Let's have a real bad day for the stock market. Let's have it go 5 or 6% down in a day. That might happen today. And let's be done with it. Or, let's let the inflation cool down and things get better. But the market wants to know which way to march. And that's where markets move. The market, just like, I've mentioned this story 100 times in investment stuff. If you guys knew, when you guys left this room, there was a raptor out there that was going to eat you. And King Kong was sitting back here, but he couldn't destroy the building. What do? You stay inside, right? You don't turn out and run a raptor. You don't turn out and run a King Kong. You're not going to do anything. And that's where the markets are at right now. The only good thing that we're seeing for markets, it's a really good thing, is people are reporting they are very, very, very negative on the stock market over the next 12 months. And they're selling their investments. Anytime you start seeing people scared, you should start feeling what? Start buying. That's when people are scared. 2020, when COVID hit and the lockdown started, everybody was scared. But you know what? They were scared before it locked down. Once it locked down, the market started coming back. Because then the market did what was expected. We're going to be locked down, we work from home, we're going to buy Peloton, we're going to buy Amazon, we're going to buy FedEx. But before, when they didn't know what to do, they did nothing. And so that's what the market's waiting for, is they want to know what direction do we need to go. We're marching north, south, east, or west. We don't know where, we just need to know where it goes. Anybody have questions about this? Now, the one thing that plays into this is currencies. A lot of people haven't noticed this. If you turn on, I don't watch news channels except for election days, which is just me. But every time I've ever been on vacation, you know, I mean, we have cable, I'm flipping through a channel, because I'm bored on vacation, probably. And I'll see the American dollar is dying. It's going away, and you better buy gold. Buy the gold, right? Buy gold. Buy gold. You feel better if you got gold around you. You know, every time when the market goes down, it lets this ring, and I feel good about it. So anyway, so you hear this all the time. I need to buy gold. I need to buy Bitcoin. I need to buy annuities. I need something to save my money. Okay, so let's give you some statistics here. July 18th of 2009, it took $1.59 to buy a euro. You know what it was when you guys walked in here?
No.
99 cents.
Wow.
Okay, that's the euro, right? Wow. The dollar's going away. If you just bought dollars 30 years ago, I mean, you make 30% in a short period of time. Just buying money. It's holding on to dollars. A British pound. In 2007, it took $2.07 to buy a pound. You know what it took yesterday? This must be why the Queen died. $1.17. Japanese yen. 3 years ago, 2020, December 2020, which is 2 years ago. A Japanese yen, it took 103 yen to buy a dollar. And now it takes 142. The American dollar has been the best investment you could buy this year. Wait a minute. Every time I turn on Fox News, I hear the dollar's going away. It's not, okay? Simply put, currencies aren't based on gold coins anymore. I mean, it's just like this. I mean, our whole society's different than it was. Right there, that, you know what my kids want more than anything? Cell phone. Electronics. You know what I enjoy more than anything? Air conditioning. You know? I really love air conditioning, okay? The air conditioner on my third floor, where my boys are, it doesn't work right now. So you know what it was last night? It's 82 degrees. It's 50 degrees outside. You know, you fix that, you open the window up. You know, but the problem's on the third floor, so I worry about my 4-year-old getting upstairs. You know, jump out the window. So she's kind of crazy. And so that's what I do more than anything is I enjoy air conditioning. And so when you're looking at what's going on here, this is what's been happening the last 3 weeks. The market's gone up, or last week it went up because basically the American dollar started going down, not going up. And here's why this matters. Basically, people, instead of buying gold coins, or we have what's called fiat currency, it's not based on anything except for the country's value. So what is the most valuable thing in our country? It's people. Right? Right now, if you took all the people in Afghanistan, you put them here, and we went to Afghanistan, what do you want to bet that Afghanistan would be a pretty nice country? It would be. Because the people here have skills. The problem Afghanistan has is they don't have any skills, and they don't let any women work. You know, I always make a joke, you know what one country's run by men in the world? Afghanistan. You know, that's because it's, they basically enslave women. Not a smart country. Not a real country. If you had a choice right now in currency, think about Afghanistan, right? Afghanistan has more gold untapped than any country on earth. You guys know that? Afghanistan has all the rare earth metals in the world. Afghanistan has tons of iron ore. They have tons of natural gas. They have every resource to be profitable. But they don't have? They don't have people. They don't have society. They have instability. The greatest thing about our country is Republicans and Democrats here. And we all live together at the moment. So that's the greatest thing about our country. So what we're seeing here, mainly with Europe, is the Germans have been in an absolute panic since February. And so they have been so worried that Russia was going to turn off the natural gas that they've been buying every cubic foot of natural gas they get their hands on. They didn't care what the price was. What's funny is Germany now has more gas in storage today in September than they did last year by about a fifth. Because they're worried about the winter. And this shows you how markets move. Markets always panic more than what actually happens in reality. Germany is completely scared they're going to run natural gas. They're going to run natural gas? They're not going to run natural gas. Okay. They're going to have natural gas. And so, all of Europe is panicking, especially Great Britain, because all of Europe has gone green. They're going to count on solar and wind to power themselves and Russian natural gas. The only problem is, you can't count on the Russian natural gas. Now, here's what's odd about this. President Obama was president. After Russia used chemical weapons in Syria, he begged the Germans to sign a contract to buy natural gas from us. You know what they said? Oh, we don't want to do that. You're too expensive. Back then it was about $4 a unit. It's 40 right now. 40. 10 times. Think they should have signed that agreement? Yeah. By the way, it's truly odd logic. The Russians just completed an $80+ billion pipeline to take natural gas from Russia down to China. So here's what's truly odd. China's buying the natural gas from Russia and they're selling it to Europe. So are all these tariffs working? No, they're not working. Russia makes more money today than they did a year ago. You might as well buy it from them anyway. It's us up. And so, what we're seeing, of course, is our economy is still growing. The rest of the world, think about this. Was your electric bill high last month? No, mine was. Okay. Multiply that by 4. That's what your bill would be in Europe. In Japan. Times 4. What would you do if your bill went up 4 times? What would you do? Open the windows. I turned it off, right? What do you think they're doing in Europe right now? They're turning it off too. You know why they won't run natural gas? Because the price gets high enough, they'll stop using it. Because I would too. I love the air conditioning. But if it starts getting that high, my kids will start getting fans and they'll fan me at night. Okay? So it's a bad joke. The thing is, we'll make it work. Okay? We'll do whatever it takes to stay cool. And so that's when you're looking at economy. Also, China, they can't afford the electricity. So you know what they're doing? Part of it's because of COVID, and part of it's because they can't afford to power stuff, so they're just turning their factories off. Now, we all know about Japan, right? Japan's even worse. Japan has no natural resources at all, except for fish. And they've got hardworking people. And then, imagine if you're, so what's this causing people to do? They're moving money from these countries to here. They're moving factories from these countries to here. If you're BMW, BMW is going to build a new car plant in America. Are they doing that because the Germans love Americans? No. Why are they doing it?
Resource, people.
Money, people. If electricity is 75% cheaper here than there, it's cheaper to make cars here. They're not doing it out of the goodness of their heart. Japanese, same way. Right? Like, is Bridgestone expanding in Morrison because they just love, they love all the Japanese food here in Manchester. They're doing it because of money, right? They're doing it because of business. If electricity is cheaper, because you got to remember, if you're in Eastern Europe, right, you're not only worried about gas prices and electricity, you're also worried about being invaded. If you're in Moldova right now, you guys ever heard of Moldova? You guys ever heard of the country? So Moldova is right next to Russia. Right next to Ukraine. And right there on their border, they have a friendship zone with Russian separatists, that the Russians actually control. So if you look at Ukraine, the Russians are here, they're in Belarus, they're here, and they're right here in Moldova. The only place they're not is the sea. And then at one point the Russian Navy was there. And then Poland has got a little snip here near the city of Lviv, which is the where most Western embassies are in Ukraine. And so, but remember, it's not just Ukraine. Russia now borders all these other countries: Latvia, Lithuania, Estonia. They've also got the city called Kaliningrad, which is right there, basically next to Germany, where they took the land from the Prussians or the Germans back in World War II, and that borders all of their countries. The only working road that goes into Lithuania or Latvia goes through Kaliningrad. So if you're a business person and you're sitting here thinking, am I going to put my factory in Latvia, Lithuania, and Estonia right now? Because after he gets done with Ukraine, where's he going next? He's going to go there. You know why Finland joined NATO? They have the longest border with Russia of any country in Europe. They're not doing it because they just love Americans. They're doing it because they're scared. You know, they're scared. They don't want to get invaded. But their businesses are also saying, well, hey, we got to hedge our bets. If you're Taiwan right now, and you're seeing what's going on in Ukraine, what do you start thinking? Let's say you're a billionaire from Taiwan. What would your next move? All your money's in Taiwan. What's your next move? You know, I really like Los Angeles. I think Malibu is the place for me. And I'm going to have a second home in Malibu. You know, where I'm in college in Malibu, most homes aren't really even owned by Americans. They're owned by people in the Middle East. Because they want to have a place to run when it goes bad. So we're seeing this across the country, where because the world's become unstable, everybody's now putting money here. They want factories here. You think illegal immigration is bad now? Wait. Because guess what's going to happen in South America right now? Did they get afford gasoline? You know, Argentina had 100% inflation in July. Did you ever say? 100% inflation. So if you had any money in Argentina left, are you keeping it there? As we're seeing, most of South America is now controlled by semi-communists. People that want to be communists, but they know they go full communist. The United States may just deal with it. Because we don't care about communists in China, but we do care about communists south of our border for some reason. And so if you look at all these global trends, all of this stuff means more money is coming to America. Because you think about it, I know the markets have been bad this year, and blah, 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 blah. But think about how bad it's been for the rest of the world. I mean, we look pretty good right now, right? I mean, if you're in Moldova right now and you could be invaded next week, do you feel good about it? Are you worried about the market? You're worried about being shot at. You're worried about dying. You're worried about, I mean, if you're, you know, my parents like to go cruises, on Princess Cruises. And apparently Princess Cruises can't get enough staff. You know why that is? There's a big reason for it. Most of the people that work there are from Ukraine. And instead of cleaning your rooms, they're shooting at people. You know? They've got a new job. And so, when we look at all this stuff, this has a huge impact on the world. So we saw today when that inflation number came in high, all of these currencies started going down. Even worse. Because basically when our rates go up, it encourages more people to put more money here. You know, if you're in Taiwan right now, they're building chip factories outside of Taiwan. It's on purpose. Because China's flying planes over them. You know, they shot down a drone last week. You know, so they're on the edge of, that could be a reason to start a war now. And so that's why U.S. companies have started requiring their chip manufacturing to be made in America. Not because they care about it being made here. They care about what? Supply. They want to go sell that iPhone. You know, the new watch that Apple released last week, the one that's for people that are big-time athletes and runners and stuff, it's going to cost $800 a watch. This one right here is $300. Think Apple stock's going to make some money next year? Yeah, but so if Apple buys a chip for $10 or $20, they don't care right now. They want it where they can get enough chips, they can make the watch. And so what's happening because Russia's invading Ukraine is all these companies are rethinking what happens when China goes to war with the United States. Right? And what happens, even that, you just get a taste of it. Look at China closing down from COVID. You're getting a taste of what it's going to look like. So you might as well move those factories somewhere else. Go ahead and get ahead of it, right? Have a backup plan. You know, you got a backup plan. And so what this does is it causes the US dollar to keep going up in value. This will also reduce inflation. Why? What do you guys think?
More goods cheaper.
Yeah. It makes, when you buy something from China, it'll now be cheaper. When you buy something from Europe, it's cheaper. Pound, Britain, cheaper. Yen, cheaper. It also means there's more demand for our money. When there's more demand, people will pay you more for this, you know, they'll give you less money for the stuff, basically. So like, for instance, if, and you gotta remember, our economy too is very focused on, we sell a lot of natural gas, and we sell a lot of oil overseas. Which is the two things that Russia is depriving from the market. So the Europeans are giving us as much money as they can to buy as much from us as possible. So now there's more demand. Right? And then it also encourages those companies and countries to invest money in the United States. You know, until the Cold War ended, you know, we held all of Germany's gold in the Federal Reserve in New York. Because they were concerned that if the Russians pushed through, they're going to get the whole country pretty easily. So the Germans held most of their money in America. Then after the Cold War ended, it went back there, right? Guess where probably it's coming back now? Coming back here. Right? And so what that does is, anytime we import anything, we're now getting it cheaper. If we import, the toilet paper, the wood to make toilet paper, it's going to be cheaper. If we import, titanium, other countries, it gets cheaper. Uranium, we import that, it gets cheaper. The problem is, that's the next thing to go, because most uranium is made in Kazakhstan, and it's made in Russia. So now, that'll start, I guarantee you, pretty soon, you'll start seeing, they actually announced a lithium mine here in Tennessee. You guys knew that or not? They're going to build a new lithium mine for electric cars here in Tennessee. Because part of the deal is people want to secure that lithium. Right? And so, this naturally brings down inflation. Unfortunately, though, when the American dollar goes up, most South American countries have to borrow money in American dollars. Right? So when they have to borrow money in American dollars, what happens to their currency? It's crashing, right? And they have to pay back now 20 or 30% more money a month than they're paying back before. Which means now that those countries, instead of spending that money on welfare for people that are poor, they have to cut it out. So what happens in those countries? Revolution. Or they come up north looking for jobs. Because it's all about supply and demand. If all these companies are going to start locating in America, we're going to start seeing more immigrants. Right? Because people follow the money. You want to stop with the immigration? We all become poor. They won't come here anymore. Anybody vote for that? That's how you fix it. So it's all about supply and demand. So the good news is the markets are working with this right here. But it makes it very, very likely next year that Europe's going to go into a recession. And how that hurts U.S. companies, of course, too, is when McDonald's sells a hamburger in Europe and people are in a recession, they don't buy as many hamburgers, and when they bring the money back home, they're bringing back home less money. Because they can't raise their price that much. So if you're selling a burger for $1 and you were bringing back $1.20 in euro, now you bring back 99 cents, you just make 20% less money. Right? Now what's good for U.S. companies and why that's a positive is U.S. companies have a hard time doing business overseas because of a lot of restrictions. Most of the S&P 500 makes most of their profit right here in America. So that's a good thing. But it's going to affect certain companies worse. Like who would come like Kroger? How much business do you think Kroger does overseas? 0. How much business do you think Coca-Cola does overseas? Huh? 81% of Cokes are sold outside the country. So if you're looking at a stock, if I was saying, which stock would I pick? I really like Kroger. I'm I'm kind of scared of Coke, right? Because now the only positive that there is unfortunately a lot of people drink Coke overseas because the water's not clean. Coke's clean, and so if electricity rates get higher, they may not clean their water as much. So people may drink Coke because to live, so that's the only positive for them. But when you look at it, if you look at Germany in particular, Germany and beer in Germany is about $1 a euro of beer used to be. Now Coke's €4. So like the Germans are going to get drunk more and they're going to drink less Coke. That's the joke you say there. But that's basically what you're seeing with it when it comes down to Germany is the beer's going to get cheaper, Coke's going to get more expensive. And that will hurt U.S. companies when they bring money back home. But what has been so amazing this year is, even with all this stuff's been going on now since February, we still have not slipped into a recession. People are still spending money, business is still thriving. And how do you know that? How you can tell businesses are doing well? What if business is not doing right now? Not closing up, or what's the other big one? Okay, if you guys were to walk into Cracker Barrel today, how many of you think you could be hired? Every one of you. Because they're still hiring people. If businesses were really not doing well, what would they start doing? You see people speak, right? They might say, well, I'm scared of a recession. I'm scared of having, but we're still hiring 10,000 people this month. Look at Bridgestone, look at Nissan. Are they still hiring people? Yeah, they're still hiring people. Look at Arnold Air Force Base out there. They can't get enough people. And so that's the sign of a recession. But all this stuff also makes it hard for the market. Because the market just wants to know, what direction are we going in? That's all the market wants to know. And for the last 9 months, we've really had no direction. And when you don't have a direction, you go down. Now the good news is, do you guys know what the average bear market length is? The market's at 20%. It's 9 months. You know what the worst month of the year typically is? I told you earlier, September. So the good news is, and everyone is scared. Market, we just look at attendance today. You get more people here today than normal. Those are signs that more people will tune in today than probably normal. And so that's what you look at the numbers. And those are good things. Those are things to have confidence in. Things will get better. Yes, sir, go ahead. A year ago, a year and a half ago, nobody's worried. That's when you should be scared. When everybody's scared, you should feel pretty good. Apple stock's probably down 6% today. For what reason? Think people are not going to, at Christmas, they're not going to buy the new watch? Does anybody really think they're not going to sell that? The battery lasts 36 hours. That's what's appealing to me. Because I'm coaching soccer tonight, so at about 7 o'clock, my battery goes dead. So instead of yelling at the kids to run, I got to keep looking at my watch. So I'll probably get a watch. It's a simple reason. You have any questions about this? Ray, do you have a question?
Yeah.
Okay.
When do you think Biden's going to pay off home mortgages?
Good question. Never. That student loan debt thing is very stupid, right? If you look at student loans, what's the worst thing you can do if you're worried about money? Give money away for free. If you see a lot of the reason why we're seeing a lack of labor is when COVID hit, people got used to getting all this money without working. So now they're having to go back in the workforce, what they're not able to do. You know why you wouldn't want to hire somebody for Afghanistan? Think about what the daily life is for somebody in Afghanistan. You're probably sitting around thinking about how to kill the next tribe. Because for the last thousands of years, I was going great. They were killing each other. That's all they've been doing. See, my family's Scottish, right? So historically, they hate the English. But then they buried English people. And then they didn't hate them anymore, right? So in America, I don't like, Cheryl, you're English over there. Get my 9mm out. You just don't think about it. And the reason why is because my entire life I've been working since I was 12 years old. So I'm used to coming to work and work. It's why it'd be probably hard for me to retire because I can't imagine me not working. Okay? And so if you hire somebody that's not used to working, it's just like it's also a situation. You look at government housing authority, right? A lot of people in housing authority, they look like their parents. Because what have they seen? They've seen people not doing the best thing economically, and so what do they fall into? Same situation. Just like someone that's been to jail. Most times people have been in jail, their parents have been in jail too. Because and it's the same thing we're seeing with if you go out there and you tell students you're going to pay their student loans, guess what kids are doing right now?
No one's scared.
They're borrowing more money because what do they think? I'm not going to pay for it, so why not get it? And so if you want to bring down the price of college, you do the opposite. You don't let people borrow as much money. You say you can't borrow more than 50 grand to go to college. I don't care where you go. There's the limit. Just like on a house. In 2007, we saw the same thing. Houses always go in value. Don't worry about it. If you want to have 15 homes, right, that's okay with me. And then they started saying, well, what's your income? How much down payment you put down this house? These are some basic things, right? You go to college, they're like, well, what's your GPA? How well do you do in math? Do you know how to count? It's like, well, you don't? Oh, you go to college. No, you would. It's the same thing with colleges used to be, because colleges, people were paying out of their own pocket, and the college would see and say, well, if they don't finish, we're not getting a great return on our investment. So they would try to find people that would finish college. Now the axiom is everybody needs to go to college. I can tell you a funny story. My kids, we talk about money quite a bit, and I sit them down one night, and I'm like, how much do you think a teacher makes? They're like, oh, yeah, that teacher makes a ton of money. Yeah. About $20, $25 an hour. Like, oh yeah? Like, how much do you think a plumber makes? Oh, yeah, that plumber doesn't make $10 an hour. I'm gonna try $2.50 an hour right now. But I've had 2 plumbers here at this office and one at my house, and I've been timing them how long they're there. They make $250 an hour is what they charge them, based on the time they were there. Okay? And so, it's all about supply and demand. Everybody's telling everybody to go to college, and they're not telling people to be plumbers. So what are people doing? They're stupid. But eventually, all these people with college degrees will go back to be plumbers. And they would spend all that money wasted going to college for nothing. And so, but that goes back to what Biden's saying and what the schools are telling them. The schools are telling them, everybody needs to go to college, this is how you are successful in life. And they're missing the point. And so that student loan thing is dangerous because it's going to encourage more people to be idiots. And the whole goal of government should be, we want less people to be stupid. And that's just the bottom line, because Robert College at Pepperdine, which is now $80,000 a year, they're going to reduce their price now they're getting free money for college loans. They're building a $250 million new sports complex with an infinity pool. Okay? Now, is that going to help people do 2 + 2? It's going to look good though. They're going to feel really good about it when they look at the ocean, because every other spot in the place sees the ocean too. But if you see it from this angle, but all that will do, right, of course, is more people will go out of college and they won't have any skills with a college degree, which means college will now become less valuable. Because it's all about supply and demand. Just like natural gas is more valuable because Russia's cut it off. And so what will eventually happen there? People will go nuclear power. They'll find alternatives. Even California voted to keep a nuclear power plant open. They're not doing it because they want to. They're doing it because supply and demand. If they can't get electricity from Russia, they'll get it right from nuclear power. And right now, if Europeans wanted to fix all this, they can. You want to scare Putin? Don't send any more missiles. Build 30 nuclear reactors in Europe. Get rid of them altogether. You want to have electric cars? guess what you're gonna, they had this little cyclone that hit around Florida, hit around Los Angeles, so it was raining, so they didn't have any solar power. Then they, almost had shutdowns last week. You're gonna have something that works all the time. So that's how economics work. And you're seeing that. You're seeing, even though the country's not investing in it, private businesses have put more money into fusion power and those kind of sources than ever before. And just like going to space, everybody said, well, these people are going to figure it out. You throw enough money at anything, it'll work. That's why electric cars are coming. You know why electric cars are coming? Because everybody in the world is throwing money at it. There's probably $200 billion a year going into research and development for electric cars. So we're going to get electric cars. And then the next problem is how you power them. And so people are going to invest in that too. That's why you make money in investments. And some of the companies we invest in are investing in that too. They'll make money. They will make money. Well, thanks for tuning in on Facebook Live. Appreciate your time. Have a good day.